Have you ever seen a podcast that we've done?
You have no idea how many podcasts I listen to.
No, but have you seen it?
Yeah, one time with my brother-in-law.
So you know how technically advanced we are with our musical intros.
I actually really liked it. I really do.
This guy.
It just proves that you can make something out of anything.
Our guest today is really responsible for a lot of our media here at Three Crosses. Mm-hmm. What's your official title?
Video producer.
Video producer, none other than David Ledbetter, just experienced the iPad musical intro.
I feel honored and blessed.
David Ledbetter, it's a joy just to get to know you a little bit.
Thank you.
Just a little bit. I really met you when we went away and filmed our Tombstone series graveyard deal, which was really fun.
That was fun. What a cool spot.
Cool spot, cool day. Mm-hmm. And what a job he's done here at Three Crosses, elevating everything media.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I appreciate it.
You got a great spirit about you.
Thank you.
I don't know
Mark.
if you know that.
I didn't, but I do now.
No, I'm serious. You have a great spirit about you. I've worked with a lot of media people. Humbly, I'm just saying. I used to do some HGTV work. I did some media work.
Right.
Landscape smart work. Did some garden shows where a lot of media and news outlets were always buzzing around for like 3 and 4 days. Spent a lot of time with a lot of media people. You're a real joy to be around in pressure situations because people don't realize you get one take.
Right. You really do. And it's like the way you act behind the camera is going to affect how that person's acting in front of the camera.
Where'd you learn that?
Just experience. You know, I worked with guys who were above me in other fields and other churches and other areas, and I just saw they would pressure that person like, hey, we got to get this done, or you're not saying this right.
That's not working, yeah.
And the people would just kind of tense up, and they wouldn't really be able to like open up or be honest or have fun or anything like that. And it like the videos were kind of tense because of that.
Yeah.
So I try and help diffuse
saw that.
some of that.
So you're an observationalist.
Yes.
Have you always been?
Yeah, I have been since I was very young. Like most of recesses as a kid, I wasn't playing. I was like sitting and kind of like observing a little bit.
Watching.
Yeah.
People watching, like you're at the airport.
Right.
At recess.
Yeah.
And learning.
Yes.
Observationalists are world changers, Kyle. How many times have I told you that? You got to learn how to observe and then apply. See, a lot of guys won't apply, but you seem to be an applier. So when you get the role of videographer, you're applying what you've observed.
Yeah. I think as we all should be.
Hey, how many years you been married? Or months?
Months, like about 4 or 5 months now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was a year.
No, not yet.
Okay. How's that going?
It's great.
Oh, come on.
Everyone says
Everybody
that, though,
says
right?
great.
Everybody says it's great. It's
She's
the
a
bomb.
lovely lady.
She is.
You're a lovely man.
Thank you, Mark.
And it must be, and you have one car.
Yeah, well, we have 2 cars. One's not working at the moment.
What happened?
So there's a tire not working on it, and it's not like starting correctly. I don't know.
So it's janky.
Yeah, it's janky. But I don't know. I couldn't be farther from like knowing something about cars. I don't know anything. Yeah.
That's my son.
Yeah.
And that I respect that. I respect that.
Right.
What do you do then? So you just...
I just take it. I know this guy in San
There's a
Leandro
guy.
who's the bomb. Yeah.
There's a guy. Don't mention his name. He's going to get a
I'm
bill.
not going to mention his name.
He gets a bill. If you
Yep.
mention his name, he gets a stinking bill around
That's
this
right.
joint. Hey, David Ledbetter, what a joy to be with in a media situation. I'm going to tell you that. But it's really rare that a young man says, I want to start getting up at 5
Right.
to be at Dawn Patrol. And you get there when you can. It started this year. Marriage hits. And it's a joy having you there. And so it's really rare that a young man that's as busy as you are does that. Why?
I didn't want to for like 2 years or something. I had a lot of friends who went to Dawn Patrol or guys I looked up to, and I've always known like, oh, I know I need to go to Dawn Patrol. You know, I know there's like solid guys there. I know they get real. And for some reason, I just like, I'm just not, I don't know. A lot of people say I'm not a morning person, but I'm really not. It's like super hard for me to wake up in the mornings. But every time I ask someone, what time does it start? And they say 6. I was like, are you serious? Are you sure? It starts at 6? It's not 6:30? And they're like, no, it's 6. I was like, oh my gosh, that means I got to get up at like 5:30 or whatever.
It is early. When you stop and think about it, it's early.
Yeah, and there's still traffic. I couldn't believe that. The first time I went, I started driving, I was like, I thought I would be the only person on the road, and here we are in the Bay Area, and there's like 500 people behind me.
I'm driving from Santa Cruz now. 4:03 it's 3. It clicked from 3:57. Are you picking up what I'm laying down?
That's unbelievable.
I got 3 people pushing me at 75 miles an hour, and it's 403, man. Are you kidding?
That's insane.
Crazy.
I can't believe that. But it's been great. I love Dawn Patrol. I love all the guys there. It's just such a unique group of men. They're all from such different walks of life, and it's just
we learn. We observe. We observe. Well, I try to park a little bit, and people say it's random or I go off on tangents, but I really want to include everybody and just say, hold on, this guy just got a new job. Can we celebrate that? Or it might be kind of weird for some people, but
it just doesn't feel like traditional church. It's not kind of like, okay, we do the worship thing, and then the guy goes up and talks, and then no one really says anything, and then the worship guys come up again, and then everybody leaves. It's just like off the cuff, and just whatever happens, happens. And it's like great, and it's okay to hey, come on up here. We'll talk to you for a minute. And it's just, I love
which
that
sometimes doesn't work good. But
right, that's fine.
That's fine. Hey, Tombstone, Legacy. How old are you?
21.
21?
Yeah. 21 years
Very
old.
mature.
Appreciate that.
And married. I got married at 23. How old is she?
She's 20.
How many people try to discourage you guys from getting married?
I can't count. There's too many people.
Really?
Yeah, there was too many people.
Do you think you're too young?
No.
4 months in?
No. So far, it's hard, and it's like I wasn't expecting anything to be perfect or easy or
No.
Like that's just not what we were going into.
No.
And we both knew that, and we both know like, okay, we're in this for the long run, and there's not even a question about that.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say they probably start off with that perspective, but we really are, because it's not about us ultimately.
Are you watching this guy stay precisely 3.5 inches from the mic? This guy's a professional. Do you see his neck is out and his shoulders are back? He is not moving.
That's because I do
mic.
audio, and I know like there's people who like pull away from the mic, and I'm like, stop, no.
So I'm a proponent of young marriage.
Why is that?
Because you'll grow up together. And I know that you have a different set of problems when you stay single through most of your 20s. It's hard either way.
Right.
But now you've lived most of your life alone, and you get these things where you hit adulthood and you start and you're going to grow up together. And so it'll probably get it's hard. But by the time you're 30, you've been with this woman for a decade.
Right. Because to me, it's like we were going to get married anyways.
Yep.
And to me, it's like the earlier we can not master, but like perfect our relationship as much as we can. The earlier we get to have kids as well. And
you're
it's
gonna have
like
kids?
Yeah.
How many?
3, 4? I don't know.
So you're going to be one of those guys?
What's one of those guys?
Abraham,
What's the other kind of guy?
An Abraham guy.
Oh,
you're going
yeah?
to start lining up the block with your kids, huh? So the whole world's got to revolve around your street.
Yep. Block
Okay.
party. 8 kids.
No, you want 3, 4? She does too?
Yeah, 3 or 4 kids or so.
Good for you guys.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. So Tombstone Legacy, what have you learned thus far? Like this morning, you couldn't get there. Car's broken. No big deal. But what have you learned thus far regarding legacy, or what have you been awakened to, or reminded of, or?
So much I love about it is how you keep going back to the idea of like, there's those moments in your life where God places a decision in front of you, and He says, "Okay, you choose, and you get to make this decision, and walk one way or the other, and it's up to you, and that's gonna decide your future, but it's up to you." And all the time we choose
The moment,
yeah, and we choose incorrectly, and then we look back and kick ourselves for 20 years or who knows how long. But it's learning to become more aware of those moments and say, okay, God's placing a decision in front of me. I need to be careful about the choice that I make, because our choices ultimately do matter.
So you're saying now that when things become an opportunity or something shows up for you, you're recognizing this as a moment that could lead to legacy.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. When I started thinking about the series, that's what it did to me. I thought this could be something that goes down as in history.
Right.
A one statement. We looked at that today with Joseph. He says, "Hey guys, it's the old death scene." Calls the kids around. He's in Egypt. Old Joseph. Hey,
You sound like the Godfather.
We had fun with that. When you guys leave this taco stand, make sure you take my bones with you. Make sure you roll me out of here.
That's what all Egypt.
That's what Hebrews. That's
Taco
what
stand.
Hebrews remembered. Hebrews recorded a great man like Joseph. Think about what Joseph did for the arc of the Jewish people in history.
Because the Bible is just highlights,
Right.
And it's just so if you made it in there, You had to have done something pretty special, stupid
special.
or not.
Right. Something
know,
special.
Right.
Yeah. But Joseph's got like 5 chapters. You know, the coat, the Egypt, the famine, the brothers, the the whole thing. But what Hebrews says is he's the guy who said, take my bones out of here.
Right.
What? Because he recognized a moment. This is a moment that my kids are going to need to be remembering for however long. He didn't
And they
know
will.
And they did.
Yeah, and they will.
This is not our home.
Right.
This is not our home.
Right.
That's why we got the mummy. Because the grandkids had to have said, what, Mommy? Why is there a mummy in the bed? We got to take that guy back to Israel when we get there. Right?
Yeah.
What a great thing.
I know. Such a cool story.
21 years old, what would you leave right now? This is a great question. This is why I'm doing the podcast, Kyle. This is clearly why. What would you leave right now if you knew it was the end of days? What would you leave for kids not yet born as David Ledbetter, 21 years old?
Like an idea I would leave?
What, a statement, a thing to remind you who you really are, a verse. What would you leave your grandkids? Don't forget this about who we are.
I would tell them to just calm down and widen your perspective. Because ultimately, when you realize just how much bigger the picture is than just you and your little problems and your homework and that girlfriend that you're having an issue with or whatever it is, financially struggling, whatever it is, you realize that because it's so big and there's so much more than me, I need to change the way I'm treating people or the way I'm acting.
Or the way. Changing. Like, broaden your perspective. Calm down and get the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I think you need to find like a lens.
You could say that.
Like an antique lens. And you can go home today at the end of days and tell your wife. And she says, why did you order that on Amazon? This is going to be what you give to kids.
It's a sign for the grandkids.
Just widen your perspective. We widen up that lens, man. Slow down a little bit. Look around.
And she's like, honey, why are you always speaking in camera analogies?
Oh, you do that?
No, I don't. I should, though.
Dude, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. In Jesus, when he walked the earth, half of his teaching was stop, look at the birds, consider their ways, and consider what the Father's doing to you, because the Father's pulling those feathers too. You know, it's like slow down, look around. It's great. 21 years old. You believe it? Where you want to be at 31?
Oh, that's such a good question. This is why you're doing the podcast. That's why you're doing the podcast.
Kyle, Bill, Jim Beelick, $100.
$100. 31. Where do I want to be?
What do you want to be at 31?
I want to be an excellent dad. I want to be very disciplined, you know, to where my kids can see that and want to replicate it.
Discipline.
You know? Yeah, like I want to have kids who say like, "Oh, I want to be like my dad." Not like, "Oh, my dad's a deadbeat," and you know, have my kids know that at like 8 or 9, and that he doesn't work hard.
Interesting. That's it.
I mean, I could keep going.
Yeah.
More stuff I want to be.
31.
At 31.
Yeah. So you want your kids to see a disciplined dad. Interesting.
My wife as well. I want her to see a disciplined man as well, but also one who like prioritizes his family, you know, outside of work or.
What's that look like? Prioritizing your family.
I think it means sacrificing some things that you otherwise would like want to do. You're like, oh, I want to get this job done at work. Well, I want to impress someone at work. I want to stay a little later, you know, to get that extra bit of money. But if you've been smart financially, you know, and you know that you're safe, then you can sacrifice some things and let some people down. It's okay to let some people down at work to spend some time with your family. I'd argue that is totally fine.
Other than if you schedule a podcast appointment with me.
That is
That's
true.
the deal.
If Mark wants me there,
Hey,
I'm going to be there.
Sacrifice, and let me give you a little old man, 55-year-old wisdom.
Please.
Because you're smart and you're an observer. When you sacrifice for your kids, and you will, I can see it. You're that guy. And your wife. Cement the sacrifice by not letting them know that was a sacrifice.
I love it. What do you mean by cement? Just so I can.
It will be cemented as a genuine sacrifice if you don't bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I made the mistake. Do you see what I'm doing? Like,
right? Because then,
do you see how hard I'm working for this?
Right, because then it puts your intentions into question.
It's
like, why did he really? Well, because then it's like, why did he really do it?
You play it as a card, like when things get heavy,
right?
You know,
how easy is it to do that?
Yeah, you know. And I used to have a little fetish with hats.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We moved, and my wife counted 47 hats.
You got rid of them all, and then you're like, look what I did.
No. Early on in the marriage. Why are you bringing another hat home? That is a $26 hat. I said, do you realize how I just worked 16 and a half hours yesterday?
There you go.
I can't buy a $26 hat. What am I, 15? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right?
I've done that.
So I brought up the sacrifice the 16 and a half hour day to cover the $26.
Right.
Versus, I mean, I bet you my kids 1,000 times would be able to tell you how hard you know.
Mm-hmm. We all do that, though.
Yeah. But I'm saying, early on, learn to keep your pie hole closed.
Cool.
Let the kid show up in 3rd grade and say, you can't believe how my dad works.
Or
how disciplined he is, or whatever term you want to put on it.
Right.
Yeah. What kind of work do you want to be doing at 31 years old?
I think I always want to be involved in, like, media production in some sense. So I don't know if that's still, like, me behind the camera, like editing the videos, or maybe it's me directing a team of people doing that, and I've been there, so I know what it's like. But yeah, I don't know exactly. It could be at a church for all I know.
Yeah. So you want to still be in media?
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay. Sweet. Closing thoughts on what you're excited about this year. Oh, I'm going to give you a minute to think about it.
Okay.
What are you excited about this coming year? Most excited about David Lebner. Did you notice that he didn't mention Dawn Patrol? In 10 years from now, he'd like to be waking up at being Dawn Patrol. Did you just notice that? I noticed that. Like, you know what I'm saying? What he wants to be.
I was so excited I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you excited about this year? What wakes you up? What excites you up? Gets that heart going? Oh,
man, there's some projects that we're working on here at the church. Yeah, that I'm really excited about.
That's the thrill.
Yeah, one coming up is kind of like we're gonna work on like preserving just the church history here.
Yeah.
This church has a really deep,
really
rich
good
history.
Yeah.
That's been going on. I think it has like one of the oldest running youth programs in the nation.
Really?
Or something like that. But there's just a lot of like deep history at this church, and so
good history.
Good history, and so we want to try and preserve that like on film.
Awesome.
Which I just can't wait to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. David, you're a joy. I love you.
I love you too, Mark.
Love what you're about. Thanks for being part of our community. I do love when you're there. If ever you need to ride here because your car's broken, let us know.
Okay.
I'll send Kyle. He don't do much. He just hangs around.
Yeah.
I can send him out to Dublin.
He's only 80% of the show here. Thank you for everything you do, Kyle. This is an ode to Kyle.
Don't thank him. Don't thank him.
No. The ode to Mark.
It's his big head.
Ode to Mark.
No, it's not an ode to Mark.
Okay.
It's an ode to Jim Bielik. That's 2 bills.
Just pass them under the table.
Hey, have a great day. I hope to see you next Wednesday. I hope your car gets fixed.
Okay.
And I'm glad you're excited about what you do around the church.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Peace out.
I like the surfer music.
Do you? It's my buddy. I got to get a new tune.
Is it really?
Yeah.
You know this guy?
Yeah. Brian Bent.
Wow.
That ain't all.
Wow.